los días más dolorosos de mi vida.
They were the worst days of my life.
From New York to Texas, tearful reunions as immigrant families get back together months after being separated at the border.
The deadline came and went yesterday, with the Trump administration still trying to reunite families after its zero-tolerance policy.
During the last 24 hours in San Antonio, Catholic Charities alone collected thousands in donations and brought together 7 immigrant families. Eyewitness News reporter Roxy Bustamante is live with more on the humanitarian effort. Roxy.
All thanks to the community. Catholic Charities tells me that they're planning to fill 2 trucks to send to McAllen tomorrow, all to help separated families.
Just warms my heart. It almost brings a tear to your eye.
In one day, more than 3,000 pounds of food, water, clothes, and even diapers were donated to help families on the border.
I said, that's the least I can do is bring food and water for them.
I'm so blessed to live in San Antonio because truly the community, every time that there is a situation, everybody steps up.
President and CEO of Catholic Charities, Antonio Fernandez, says the organization has been working tirelessly to reunite and help families separated at the border.
You know, like when I see the children, when I see the immigrants, and they are tired and they are sleepy, and I see this, it makes me feel good about humanity.
And today, they were able to reunite 7 families right here in San Antonio.
It was so amazingly fantastic to see the children's faces when they saw the daddies and how the family worked together, and it was really fantastic though.
Meanwhile, the community continues to donate, helping those who have risked everything for a chance at a better life.
Keep giving in the name of love. Put yourself in the situation that these people are in. I mean, I could never ever imagine just being separated from my daughter, much like the way these people are facing.
Now, Catholic Charities also tell me that they're going to be leaving around 6 tomorrow morning and will be serving meals to about 100 people. But they are still accepting donations, so you can drop them off here at their center. Reporting live, Roxy Bustamante, KENS 5, Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Roxy, for that live report. Now, here's a case in point. An immigrant mother and her teenage daughter reunited tonight after being separated at the border for more than a month now.
Eyewitness News border correspondent Oscar Margain caught up with the family right after the child's release in Brownsville.
The 40-year-old mother, who is going by the name of Isabella to protect her identity, says she was waiting more than 6 hours at Casa Nueva Esperanza shelter for minors today until the government gave the final okay to release her 17-year-old daughter. These are the images of a teen who's holding her mother for the first time in 40 days. Now, naturally, an emotional moment that brings the young girl to tears. Isabella says they were separated after they crossed the border through a port of entry seeking asylum on June 2nd. The separation was not something they expected would happen.
Que lo piensen, pues, porque no es fácil lo que está pasando en estos momentos.
She warns other immigrants looking to cross the border to think about it twice because it is not easy, she says. Many people in her country don't know this can happen because the news doesn't cover what's really going on here. They both fled El Salvador out of necessity. Difficult working conditions and discrimination was what forced them to leave. The government says 38 children under the age of 5 have been reunited as of Tuesday. We're not certain how many have been reunited today. The deadline to reunite children age 5 and older is in 2 weeks. Now, they're both headed to Maryland to fight for their asylum case, with a hearing scheduled for July 26. When asked if she would do it all over again, Isabella said no way. She would not have come here now that she knows how difficult it's been being apart from her daughter. I'm Oscar Margain reporting in Brownsville near the Texas-Mexico border. Now back to you.